want.
Not an 18th birthday party. Why the scheduling mix up?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dueling Aces for today.
Whatever today is. 27.
27.
Can you believe how fast this month went already?
I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think
No,
about
I'm okay with it because that means summer's right around the corner.
it. Yes, but we need to get through the remaining white stuff that will still come and all the wetness and all that kind of stuff.
I've always said, isn't it funny how we haven't had hardly any snow all winter long? We spring forward and now we're getting chances of snow more now than we did all winter.
That's right. That's right. That's how it works. So today we have Adam, star of the show. We have Bruiser, the perennial bridesmaid, never the bride.
I know.
We'll get into that in a second. I am not your host, Zolt, where I am bringing you hard-hitting questions like, is the chair a better host than who sits in it?
He's on assignment.
Think about it. Think about on assignment. Is that okay? That's what we're calling it.
It sounds so much better, right? He's on a babysitting assignment. How about that?
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. We have a few things to talk about today. There's some big news that we will get to in a little while. Apparently, it's big news that just now came out as opposed to when it actually was delivered a few weeks ago. Let's start. Okay, let's start with the Final Four. Not a huge basketball guy. How's everybody looking? Anybody do brackets?
No, I'm glad I didn't. No. Well, the thing is somebody brought it up today that they said that there was a guy brought it, or he brought up the question, how is that possible? Because they said there was 37 people had picked the Final Four exactly. But the one before that was like only one person picked it, like something else. He goes, how is it 1 and 1 and 37 on another? He goes, that doesn't add up.
I will say this. People that have picked the Final Four perfectly have done 120 brackets.
Oh, easy.
Let me give you the numbers because I've been told I do that occasionally. Okay, so if you went and you picked this Final Four perfect and you put down a $100 bet on it, you'd be sitting on a cool $4.4 million right now.
Jesus.
That's what this Final Four would have got you. And I would say to you, if you put $100 down on this Final Four, you, sir, are a degenerate.
I found out what it is. That out of 20 million brackets for ESPN, there was one bracket that picked the Elite Eight.
Okay.
Then there's 37 that picked the Final Four. Make it make sense.
That doesn't make sense unless you can go in and unless they have a Final Four challenge that you can go in once you're down to 8 or once you're down to 16.
Which I know, like a second chance or something they usually do. But
exactly. Yep.
That's a little odd.
That is odd. That's a stat I don't like. That's why I didn't say it.
And that's why I figured I'd throw the numbers your way. You'd be the guy to say if they're good or not.
Unless they're talking about picking the Elite Eight perfectly. And then, listen, I had the Final Four one year from a broken bracket that just died on the first day. I got nothing else right except for the Final Four.
And at the end of the day, it made you look respectable, even though you knew you weren't.
Oh, listen, me and respectability went out the window a long time ago.
Right.
The moment I started hanging out with you degenerates on Mondays, that's what.
It's our fault.
No, it was long before that. Come on.
It was long before that.
Yeah. Any obviously we have some very interesting teams still left out there. Any stories we want to bring up? I don't have it
The
queued
fact
up.
that Texas didn't make it.
Well, however, as I recall, their interim head coach is getting hired now as
Yeah.
the coach.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they got that going for them. I will say the 3-pointer from the logo was a hell of a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about how insane the NIT got with the women's bracket?
Go for
Oh,
it.
good God. The two different instances where there was about to be fights, or the one that one girl got laid out from Bowling Green, a local school here.
Yeah, the Bowling Green girl got laid out by the chick from Memphis.
And then there was the Texas Tech girl and somebody else where they got she threatened her or something, but everybody was on TikTok trying to play ad lib and well, what did she say? Who's good at reading libs? What did she say?
No.
Yeah, the girls ain't playing around this year.
Welcome to the NIT where hockey games break out.
Yeah, literally. Oh, speaking of hockey.
Hey, well, look at that segue.
How about that?
Before we get into the Frozen Four, I'm gonna throw something at you, and I want you guys to bounce some names at me. The list of teams that in the past 10 years have made multiple college football playoffs, Final Fours, and Frozen Fours.
Oh. Michigan?
Yeah, that's the gimme.
Thanks, Mom.
And
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I saw that same
team.
thing.
The only school to have fulfilled all three categories.
Yeah, but here's the problem. We
There's
haven't
no
won
problems.
one. There's no wins.
Look.
See, I thought you were I didn't know you were going for all three. Which Michigan, yeah, all right, Michigan's fine, but I was actually legitimately trying to think. I'm like, Minnesota made the Frozen Four a couple years ago,
But that's about all they do is hockey.
And
They-
they made the Frozen Four this time.
I was like, Rhode Island is usually there. North Dakota State's usually there.
Quinnipiac or whatever the hell you pronounce that.
I don't even know how to pronounce that, and I've been watching them for decades.
I was thinking, I'm like, Syracuse is pretty good in basketball and hockey.
But you usually just do a process of elimination by football.
Right, yeah, they sure as hell have not made a college football playoff.
No, I know that, but the college football playoff has only been around for 10 years.
So
I was like, I don't remember the last time Alabama made the Final Four.
Yeah.
Since
or
we're
the
hitting,
Frozen Four.
you're right.
They even
Do they
have a
even
hockey
have a
team?
hockey team?
They probably have a club team. Beyond that, I doubt it. So again, numbers. The Frozen Four, for those who don't know, 16-team tournament. The Big Ten had 4 teams make it. You had Minnesota, Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. All 4 of them won their opening rounds.
In convincingly fashion, too.
The overall scores of the 4 Big Ten first round games, they beat their opponents by a combined 36-4.
To answer the question, Alabama does indeed have a hockey team, and they are called the Frozen Tide.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. That's actually a decent name. But 36-4 combined over 4 games.
Unreal.
The close game was a 9-2. And I know Michigan had that
11.
11 was it 11-1?
11-1
victory over toothpaste. So
No Colgate.
yes. So obviously we're looking forward to the Frozen Four. You got Michigan playing Quinnipiac. You
I
got
think that's how we pronounce that.
That's
Call Suds.
Yeah.
Quinnipiac.
Yeah, them. Hey, anybody know what their actual team name is? The mascot, the
I'll
What
find
are
out
they?
for you in just a second.
Thank you. I'm the hockey. I have no idea.
That's all they have is hockey, isn't it? I don't think they have anything else.
They have
The
multiple.
Bobcats.
The Bobcats. Okay, they've got College, and I'm pretty sure they have, if not a minor team, a junior team. And Minnesota is playing. Who is Minnesota playing? Who else made it?
Boston University?
Is it Boston?
I think. I just looked at it earlier, too.
I'd love to see 2 Big Ten schools make it. I'd love to see it.
Well, they beat Ohio State, so that's good. I'm good with Quinnipiac. They beat Ohio State. That's fine.
Okay, and of course, Michigan needed overtime to beat Penn State, but that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be an 11-1 victory.
Right.
So who's in the Frozen Four this year?
Frozen Four is Michigan versus Quinnipiac or whatever, and it is Minnesota versus, we think, Boston.
Yeah, there's the bracket.
Boston College?
Boston University.
Oh, Boston U. They're usually in it too.
Yeah.
Boston College is usually there. Rhode Island's usually there. Listen, I kind of want to see Michigan and Minnesota for the championship because I want them to play for the Little Brown Jug. I want to see them play for the Little Brown Jug on the ice.
That would be
it's Minnesota and Boston play on Thursday at 5, and then Michigan and Quinnipiac play at 8:30.
Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac. I love it. Absolutely love it.
The bad thing is Boston wasn't even like when you're looking at this. Minnesota was a 1.
Yeah.
What? Quinnipiac was a 2.
Yep.
Michigan's a 3, and there's nothing next to Boston.
Yeah, you've got national ranks 1, 2, and 3, and unranked. So hopefully Minnesota can take out Cinderella.
Yeah,
and then we can get to a real matchup for the national championship.
Which I want to beat Minnesota.
Boston University and Boston College are usually
they're always there. Yes,
they're always there, and they go pretty deep, and they're good hockey schools.
Yes, absolutely they are.
So the fact that they're not ranked, yes, that says something. However, if they beat Minnesota, it's not really a shocker.
No,
I mean, it's because Boston finished the season 27-10. They took out Western Michigan 5-1. Beat a decent Cornell team 2-1 after Cornell took out Denver.
Harvard's usually there pretty.
They were in the 16.
Yeah,
Harvard was.
Yeah, they lost to Ohio State 8-1.
Oof.
It's Big Ten teams. Big Ten teams had a good first round.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this is a rematch where Michigan lost to these guys last year in the Frozen Four too.
It could. I've probably blocked that out. Let's see. Denver was the champion last year, beating Minnesota State. Don't got to worry about them.
It's hard to repeat.
It's incredible. Yeah, because I mean it's college hockey, so you do well. Your players are probably already drafted, so if
college hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta say it like Bucci Grass.
Right. If your team wins, your drafted players are probably gone.
Yeah.
Because what else do they have to play for? They've done it.
Well, hell, Michigan had a lot of kids get drafted already, didn't they?
Yeah, Michigan's
like 3 out of the top 5.
Yeah. You've got Adam Fantilli, who's up for the Hobie Baker, aka the Ice Heisman. And here's another fun stat. So he played in 34 regular season games this year. He finished as they do the 3 stars of the game after every game.
Yeah.
He was one of the 3 stars of the game for 17 out of those 34 games. That's both home and away.
Didn't a goalie win the Obie Baker a couple years ago?
Yes. I would have to look that up, though.
Here's the thing. This is what I like about hockey and hockey awards. They haven't become so sensationalized where it's supposed to be the best player award and one of only 2 positions win it, like in football.
You're the Heisman.
Like the Heisman. You know what I mean? Listen, there's been a couple of years where a defensive player should have won the Heisman and wasn't even invited to the ceremony.
Yes.
And you're looking at it now. You got the Obi Baker in college, and I think it was a few years ago a goalie won it. Couldn't tell you
Last
who.
year.
Huh?
It was last year.
Was it last year?
2022, Dryden McKay, a senior out of Minnesota State. Before that, the last goaltender to win the Hobie Baker was 2001, Ryan Miller out of Michigan State, who went on to have one hell of a career.
But you're looking at, like, you look at it, I'm sure there's been defensemen that have won it. I'm sure that,
Yep.
like, there have been players from all around the ice that have won it. And it's not, like, that's what I like about hockey awards versus, and there's not this, like, the year Crosby won the Conn Smythe, like, nobody, it wasn't like, people couldn't go, well, Ovechkin should have got it, or this person, like, no. Crosby was the best person on the ice all year long.
Oh, kind of like McDavid this year.
Connor McDavid, absolutely. I could make the argument that Ovechkin should be there in the consideration for it because of the things that he's done this year, especially with breaking Gordie Howe's, passing Gordie Howe and becoming number 2 all time on the goals scored list, and probably going to catch Gretzky in the next year or two.
I will say this. Every so often you get a year where somebody is playing as if they've just got the sprint button down the entire time.
Yes.
And that's what Connor McDavid's doing.
They're on turbo mode all year long.
Yes. He's got the slider all the way up.
He went into the settings before he started playing the game and turned the player settings all the way up to 100 and the CPU settings down to like 45.
Yep. That's he's got it figured out. I mean, there's no doubt. It's something incredible to watch, and even more incredible is he even going to make the playoffs? Which
I know if my team don't get their shit together, they're not.
Dude, the Pens are on the way out too.
Been awful this year.
Is what it is.
But the problem is for whatever reason, all Tampa's got to do is just get there, and for whatever reason, they flip a switch and they're a totally different team come playoff time.
Listen, if we don't make the playoffs, we have something in common with the Red Wings. Watching them from home.
Exactly. I mean, hey, at least I will say this: once it became obvious that we weren't going to make it, and you hit the trade deadline, there wasn't a push for, hey, let's just try to get in. It was a no, let's sell off the guys we're not going to re-sign, and let's get some more picks because we're not making it. So that's it.
I think probably in the next 2 to 3 years, I think the Red Wings will get back to their winning ways.
Yeah. I mean, it's hockey. You draft guys so young. You have to let them develop, and they're not just, it is so rare to see a player just make a leap from one year to the next.
Well, didn't
Yzerman a steady progression?
Didn't Yzerman wasn't he the one that kind of helped Tampa along the way, to where they're at now? And then, I mean, just give him time. He can do it in Detroit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's not on the hot seat by any stretch.
No.
What amazes me is, like, you look at how the Blackhawks were in the 2010s, and look at how far they've fallen.
The Blackhawks lucked into Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane at roughly the same time.
And then
you had 2 all-stars that just suddenly appeared on your roster.
Well, and then the cast off from the Penguins. I forget his name.
Yeah.
So that's how you pronounce his last name. I always wondered how you pronounce his name. The Toew guy or whatever, that one?
Taves. Yes.
Yeah.
Taves. Jonathan Taves.
It doesn't even look like he would say it that way.
And that's formative years when they were, it's like, oh my God, I absolutely hated that team.
Well, with the amount of talent in the Blue Jackets system right now, especially playing for the Monsters, I will be shocked if they don't make a playoff push in the next 5 years.
They should. And it was it was kind of, I don't say sad, but they really had a roster that looked like it was being built for extended playoff runs. They just could never put a year together where everybody stayed healthy.
That's always been Columbus's problem.
It's name number one. And then once you get to a certain point where it's like, okay, we can't afford to just keep re-signing these guys over and over and over when we're not getting to where we need to be. So you kind of let guys go and you start over again.
Seems like hockey is a lot quicker when it comes to that. Like you're really good really fast, and then you kind of tail off for a couple of years, 4 or 5 years, and then you may come back.
So with the NHL, if you can get yourself into quote unquote the upper echelon, if you can get yourself into multiple playoff runs for a couple of years in a row, it becomes easier because guys are willing to sign with you. And you're not going to get the highfalutin draft picks. So you know what? You're not taking a huge chance on some kids. You're going to get the guys that it's like, okay, you know what? This guy is only going to pan out to be a third liner, but that's fine. That's all we need because we have our top line and you know what? We just need a piece or two on the second line.
Just need the depth.
Yeah. So it's when you do a complete teardown in an NHL franchise is half a decade if it works out. If you nail everything, you can get a complete rebuild done in about 5 years.
Yeah, I'm scared because after Tampa winning the championships and stuff, I know it's getting to be that point where there's going to be a rebuild coming at some point to restack the deck and financial burdens and whatnot. And
I mean, I know you're fighting to make sure you get in. I mean, your record is 42, 26, and 6. It's not like you're losing a ton of games.
It's just you're losing the close games to the Bostons
of
the league. We know that it went on their run this year.
I mean, the look at the Pens. They're getting shut out and losing to people they shouldn't lose to.
Yeah.
That's the part that's infuriating and frustrating. Is you go out and you're losing the people that you shouldn't be losing to, and then you're beating. It's not a problem that you're beating the people that you shouldn't beat, but you do it in dominating fashion. It makes you wonder why you're getting shut out by Minnesota or Ottawa.
Yeah,
right. So Tampa Bay sitting at 6th. I think you're comfortably in. I mean, you'd have to
fall off.
Yeah, you'd have to lose an 8-point gap. Actually, more than that, you'd have to lose an 11-point gap between you and 9th. Pens are sitting as the last place in. They're the 8th seed right now at 82 points. You've got Florida 3 points behind you. That's not a comfortable position to be in.
No, I don't think that. Listen, I honestly don't think the Pens are going to make the playoffs this year.
They're playing that bad.
It's the
inconsistency.
They got shut out by Minnesota. It was either Minnesota or Ottawa the other night.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Minnesota has Fleury, though.
Minnesota does have Fleury, but even Fleury hasn't been playing that great.
And those got to be some of the most god-awful unis I've ever seen in Minnesota.
Yeah, you got
the colors are awful.
You got shut out by the Rangers 6-0.
There was 2 shutouts.
You talk about a team that's trying to buy the farm or buy the championship. The Rangers, good Lord.
You played the Rangers 2 games over the span of 3 nights, and you lost by a combined total of 10-2.
Yeah.
Oof.
Correct.
That's the same reaction Bruiser had. Oof.
I shut it off. The shutout I shut off in the second period.
I was going to say, y'all are 2-5 over your last 7. That's not helping. And my God, it's like every win you have to go to overtime for.
Correct.
Wow.
They're not making. Listen, if they make the playoffs, they're either. This reminds me of the year where they were so bad going into the All-Star break that after the All-Star break, it was like a completely different team and they ended up winning the cup. This reminds me of that year where they're so bad going into the playoffs, where like we're not supposed to be here. Might as well win the whole damn thing while we're here.
Right. I mean, time is on their side. There's only 9 games left. 9 games left. You got a 3-point advantage. 3 points isn't much.
No.
But, Florida's trying to catch you, and Florida has a 3-game losing streak going right now.
I think we own the tiebreaker over Florida, though.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? That gets a little weird.
It does. But so if they don't make the playoffs, I think that sends warning bells off in Pittsburgh a little early, and you might start rebuilding pieces because Crosby's getting older, Malkin's getting older, Kapanen's getting older. All those guys that you built that roster around for the last 10 years are coming to the end of their playing career. Not that they're done, but they're coming to the end of their playing career, and you need to start putting some fresh faces in there. So you might as well, hey, if we're not going to make the playoffs for the next 3-4 years, but we're going to be a average winning team, then let's start getting those pieces in there and getting them ready for when we're ready to make that run. You're muted.
Yeah. I will say this. Going into this season, I saw a couple comments about, that they finalized their roster, re-sign this guy, re-sign that guy. And the comments I was seeing was like, well, thank God we re-signed all the guys that didn't do it for us the last 2-3 years. And, going back, last year, lost in the first round. Year before that, lost in the first round.
You had no business losing in the first round of the Rangers last year. You had them. You were up
3-1 or something like that, right?
3-1. And the year before that, you were up and couldn't close it out.
New York was tough.
Listen, it should have never gone to Game 7, and it especially shouldn't have gone to a shootout or overtime in Game 7.
I'm going to say this. You've had the same core for how long now? Forever.
Oh,
You've
God.
had the same core forever.
10 years.
Yes. The last time you made it out of the second round of the playoffs
was the year we won the Cup.
2016, 2017.
Yeah, we went back to back.
Exactly.
That's 6 years ago.
I'm never going to sit here and say that you should get rid of Crosby, you should get rid of Malkin or anything like that. But at some point, you have to sit there and say, this is no longer working.
Well, I completely and utterly agree with you. The thing with the Pens and holding on to guys like Kapanen and Crosby and Malkin and hanging on to, I mean, you've had a revolving door at goalie since you gave up Fleury to the Vegas Knights, and when he left Vegas, the first phone call should have been from Pittsburgh telling him to come home. Because I don't care if he doesn't have it the way he used to. The fact is that goalie he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and one of the best goalies to ever play the position. It's in his stat. Like, you look at his stats, it's right there. So the fact that you couldn't have that guy play 40 games a year and split it with somebody that is gonna, is your goalie of the future, and have him work with a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury is just absolutely asinine to me. Or bringing in young guys and saying, hey, we're going to get you on a 10-game bid. We're going to put you on line 2 with Crosby. We think you're our future, but we want you to see how a star plays. and what a star does from a leadership role and an example. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I don't disagree with you. You had a chance to get him back, and it doesn't sound like y'all even made
An
offer.
attempt.
They
Yeah.
didn't make an attempt. That's what made a lot of Penguins fans like me mad, was that he was in the media talking about wanting to come back to Pittsburgh. And Bilesma, who was the coach at the time, was like, "Oh, we don't want him back. We're happy with what we have." And both of the goalies that you had at the time are no longer with the team.
Yeah. And I will say this. You're talking about the head coach of a franchise. He has to stick up for the guys that he has. But that does not excuse not making even an offer
Or a phone
at
call.
the guy to get better. It's okay to sit there and say that the guys you have are good, or hey, these are our guys, we're riding with them. Sure, but
Competition never killed nobody.
Meanwhile, your GM is calling up an agent.
Meanwhile, we've got a Hall of Famer that started his career with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not call him.
All right.
That would be like one of the NFL franchises, Tom Brady going, "Hey, I want to be a quarterback's coach," and nobody going, "Oh, we should call him."
Right.
You know what I mean? We're good with
Josh McCown.
We're good with Josh McCown as our quarterback's coach. We don't need Tom Brady as a quarterback's coach.
Right.
We don't need Peyton Manning as a quarterback's coach or Joe Flacco. We don't need any of those guys. Aaron Rodgers.
Nice segue, by the way, into football. I like it. Okay.
I have not been paying attention to the meetings, but I have read bits and pieces, and the title of Circus meetings is probably pretty accurate.
This is making me curious. Then, what have you heard? If you're not dialed in, what have you heard from these meetings?
I have heard that some of the rule suggestions,
okay,
are way out there as far as what people are asking for. I have heard that there have been owners arguing openly about revenue and money and monetary sharing, and then stuff about ad revenue.
Okay.
Generated.
Okay.
Now, mind you, this is all just like when I'm opening Facebook or Reddit or something, and the article is right at the top. So I'm not entirely sure if that's the main story. Right. I'm not sure if those are the main storylines, but that's just the shit I pulled out.
No, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I want to take it to two specific things that I heard, because even though they're not linked, I think they're linked. Adam, you go with what you.
I was just gonna say that, like, whatever they were talking about before just took a back seat after the news that came out today.
We'll get to that.
That's why I was gonna wait. That's why I stopped
came
myself.
out today.
You'll see.
We'll get to that.
Is it a bombshell?
It can be.
I mean, it could.
Does it have to do with the Washington Redskins / Commanders?
Well, that's no.
And in fact, they have come out today and said that it does not involve them whatsoever. So no, so the two stories that popped up, I think, over the weekend was, number one, the the owners have quote unquote backed off on we're going to make Dan Snyder sell the Washington franchise. And story number two, now, not saying he's not going to sell it, but they're no longer really actively discussing, we're going to force you out if you don't sell.
In other words, Dan Snyder said, I have skeletons from your guys' closets too.
Here's story number two. The other thing that they said that they are no longer discussing during these meetings is Roger Goodell's extension.
After they voted on it.
Yes. So, like I said, these two stories are not linked, except I think they're linked.
Oh, 100%.
You don't say. Coincidence?
I think a lot of this is, does Dan Snyder get an offer that makes him actually say yes without the owners voting him out? In which case, everybody's happy and Goodell's going to get an extension. However, if no sale actually comes through and the owners have to turn around and suddenly go, nope, you know what? Sorry, Dan, you got to go. We're getting rid of you. So you're going to accept one of these offers. Everybody knows all the dirt's going to be on the table, and they don't want to be locked into Goodell, who they are sure is part of that dirt.
Oh, for sure, Goodell's part of the dirt.
You're going to hit the fan.
That's what I said. Dan Snyder's got keys to every skeleton closet.
Yeah.
He's got like that itchy trigger finger. The minute they do that, he's going to push one button and all of it's coming out.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The one person that I would expect to do something like that isn't Dan Snyder.
It's Jerry.
It's Jerry Jones.
I don't think. See, Jerry is not on Dan's side. I don't know that anybody's on Dan's side.
Well, I don't think anybody's on Dan's side either. But the person that I would say that would start spilling the dirt, is Jarrah.
Yeah. He can't really keep his mouth shut.
No, but he also listen. Any dirt that he's had, he's made public anyway. So
This is true.
It's not like you can come at Jerry and be like, well, Jerry, what about this? And be like, well, shit, them boys back in the 90s, they was doing cocaine right off of Jimmy Johnson's ass in the locker room.
See, yeah, Jerry, I think the only reason he's quote unquote involved, I think, is he is hard dead set against an owner being voted out. He does not want that precedent because, let's face it, the man has skeletons. He has opened the doors for everybody to see him.
Well, that's true, but I think it comes down to if you look at the way that the Cowboys have performed over the last 10 years, he doesn't want the precedent being set where he could get voted out and then the Cowboys go to somebody else. Because I mean, the Browns sold for what? Was it $2 billion that they sold for when Haslam bought them?
Something I don't remember. It was I know it was $1 billion.
You're probably looking at 15, 20, 25 for the Cowboys.
Denver went for 4.8, I think 4.7, 4.8. Obviously Dallas is the top-notch franchise in the NFL as far as value.
It's double digits.
It is a ridiculous number. I know Washington Snyder was asking for 9, I think, if I remember right. Nobody expects him to actually get 9.
I can see him getting 4.5 to 6.
It's probably going to be the upper range of that ballpark. That'd be my guess, like 5.5 to 6.
It's ridiculous to think about.
It is stupid money. Now, of course, does he accept that? Is probably the biggest question. Or does he say no? I'm not selling for that. I want my 8 to 9.
Good Lord, that's not even a good franchise.
It isn't.
I can see him. So the Cowboys are worth an estimated $8 to $10 billion.
Washington's got to be about 2.
Do they own their stadium?
Well, that's FedEx Field, but
knowing Dan Snyder, DC paid for the building and he owns it.
Currently, oof. So the current worth of the I don't know what this converts to in billions. The current worth of the Washington football team in franchise value in millions of US dollars is $5,600 millions of dollars. I'm not quite sure what that's
$5 billion.
So $5 billion $5 billion.
Right. So he's obviously going to want to make a profit off of that.
So he's going to be looking around 7 at least minimum.
That's probably what he wants. Obviously, anybody that's buying it, you're spending that much money. You don't have that much money because you're spending $1 billion more than something is worth.
Right.
Oh wait, sorry. Obviously, we've had billionaires lately that have proven that wrong.
Well, the thing is think about that though. Like if the Washington football team is worth $5 billion, what's somebody like the Raiders or and stuff like that? Like some of these like the Chiefs now that they've got 2 Super Bowls, the Bills, like you're just going to keep driving the price range up on these teams when they do eventually go to sell.
Yeah, I mean that's what the owners want.
That's a lot
Exactly
of money.
Want. Yeah. But I mean, okay, so let's face it. Washington, other than the fact that Dan Snyder's a total jackass, they've also been accused of hiding money from the NFL. And
$4.2 billion for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, see, like that I would expect to be a little higher than that.
That was in 2023. That was this year.
So they'll go up now that they won the Super Bowl, obviously.
Probably.
Yeah, a little bit. Team values, a lot of that is based off
I
of
think
stadiums. It's based off of local TV contracts and national TV contracts, that kind of stuff.
Well, that was the new figure that just came out. So 4.2. They were 3.7 in 2022. So I'm thinking that
Super Bowl bump them up.
The Super Bowls will bump them up.
Like I would just love to have they need to have Hard Knocks come out and just do a behind the scenes of the guys that do all this that take care of all this stuff the numbers guys. Let's see some of these accountants and stuff on the accounts they got to run and how they budget things, because that'd be some interesting shit.
That come on,
Adam. Man. The Raiders are worth more than the Washington football team.
That I wouldn't. It's just because of the name, and plus they're in Vegas.
They have a brand new stadium, too.
The Death Star,
and they have a brand.
Yeah,
this is also true.
I mean, let's be honest. Everybody wanted to wear Raider gear in the 90s because Ice Cube and Dr. Dre and those guys were wearing it.
And Bo Jackson was on the team.
I mean, I think that's a very fair statement.
Yeah. Like you said, they're a brand, kind of just like the Cowboys are.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
All right. What I haven't been naughty and gone to Google spoilers. What's the story that came out today?
Well, that's the thing. It's not a franchise thing. It's not an owner thing. It's a player thing, and that's.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about the timing first. How his coach comes out and has a press conference, doesn't know a damn thing about it until after the press conference is over.
Yes. This is also true. So,
are we talking about the Lamar Jackson trade?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I did see that earlier in our group chat. Yes.
So as John Harbaugh is going out there to give his coach's interview or whatever during the meetings, Lamar Jackson posts out there on Twitter in his social medias that, oh, by the way, back on March 2nd, I went to Baltimore and I requested a trade.
25 days later, this comes out.
25 days. Now they have the teams and him basically, since he doesn't have an agent, they have negotiated in that time period. So it's not like it's just been dead sitting there.
Well, it makes you wonder too about that tweet that he put out about turning down the $133 million.
Yeah. Again, see, here's the thing. You don't know. It's weird him not having an agent.
Yeah.
And for some, obviously, Laramie Tunsil just signed the largest contract for a left tackle ever.
And represented himself.
So it can work. It's just, this is one of those situations where when you're in a protracted delay or a protracted, a negotiation where you're kind of stuck, this is where it helps to have an actual agent or, a company representing you where they can, hey, you know what, we're stuck. We're going to switch somebody out here and maybe come at it from a different angle. I do think he wants as much guaranteed money as possible. And I don't blame him. I mean, he's looking at this. Let's backtrack for half a second. When Josh Allen signed his new deal, his new extension, Baltimore could have extended him right then and there.
They did.
They could have given him 42 to 45 million a year.
Well, you think the problem with these? You think the problem with these teams is they wait too long? Like, oh, we're just going to wait till the end of the season when they probably shouldn't, because like they don't want to take it away from the season, like and stuff like that. Like, let's not take away the negotiations during the season for the fact that we don't want to affect his play. Well, the minute he got injured, you should have started.
I think Scott's right in a sense. I think he doesn't want to be there, and I don't think the Ravens want him there.
Well, somebody, I don't know if it was in our chat, but they put that thing up about Lamar wants out, and they're like, because he has no weapons, and it was like the Flex Seal patch with Nelson Aguilar.
Well, that's part of it, but the other thing is I think that teams like the Bills, the Bengals, the Browns, the Buccaneers, and the Packers, and the quarterbacks deals that they've done in the past 3 to 5 years have ruined the market as far as attempting to sign a quarterback for what he is worth and valued to a roster.
Browns ruined that for everybody.
Well, here's
but they weren't the first.
No, they weren't in one way they were.
Yeah.
In one,
but you were right.
Guarantee it. Yes. But what I mean is that by exponentially increasing the dollar amounts and making them exorbitant contracts, they weren't the first.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You can go back to Michael Vick.
Yeah. I look, we've said it all along. Quarterback money does nothing but increase. That's all it's going to do. So if you are looking at a guy and you want to extend him, do it immediately.
Yeah.
Don't wait till his last year. Do it
or until he gets hurt.
Before that. It's only going to get more expensive the longer you wait. We know this. So either they weren't sure that they wanted to extend him,
or he just doesn't want to be there.
Or he didn't want to be there, or he didn't want to do the deal.
How funny would that be if, like Scott said, all this talk about Rodgers to the Jets, and they say screw Rodgers, and they go and get Lamar Jackson?
It ain't going to happen.
I know it's not.
I do think they're set on Rodgers. But so here's the thing. And I'm going to kind of tie this into also his contract negotiating, because even though they're two different things, there's a similarity there. So, well, obviously they couldn't come to a deal for a contract, at least so far. And so Baltimore did what? They signed him to a non-exclusive tag.
Where everybody can match it, at least.
Where everybody can match it. And I kept hearing things like, well, at least, now he can get market value. Bull.
Yeah.
He can't get market value.
They screwed him by doing so.
They absolutely screwed him by doing so. He can't get market value because a team that is signing him, number one, is paying, up front for a quarterback.
And losing draft picks.
And losing 2 draft picks in the process.
Is it a first and a second, or how does that work?
It's 2 firsts.
Oof.
So any team going in, number one, has to factor that in. So you're going to pay him. So right then and there, that's not fair market value, because you're not going to do that. And now he's asking for a trade. And if you're Baltimore, what are you asking to deal him? You're asking for somebody's draft.
Yeah, this dude's an MVP. I mean, the dude's an MVP, so that raises his stock regardless of his stats.
So now anybody that is actually thinking about trading for him is, okay, we're going to be losing 5 draft picks, probably, 6 draft picks, somewhere along those lines. And we have to re-sign him.
Draft picks?
I don't see that happening.
So here's the problem with the way I think, in my opinion, but I think the NFL draft picks, and the things that have happened with them in the last 3 to 5 years have gone the way of the NBA draft.
A lot of trades.
Where you have teams trading picks 5 years in the future for now. And I think that at some point in the next owners' meetings or CBA agreement or whatever, there needs to be a cap put on how far out you can trade your draft picks. Now I see that smirk and I understand. I know what that means, but I think like being able to trade a pick from like 2025 when you're in the 2023 season, okay,
it's reasonable.
I think that's reasonable.
But not when you're in the 30s.
But when you're trading picks, like who was it in basketball last year? Traded a pick from the 2029 draft.
Well, don't forget the Cavs years ago when they traded Dwayne Wade, they got a pick for in like whatever year LeBron's kid's coming out.
Yeah. So
Which, I mean, granted, it's around like the next year or two, but it was just the fact that they were so far in advance. It's like, oh, that's why they were doing that.
But the NFL is starting to go that route. You got teams that are trading picks that are 4 and 5 and 6 years out. And you're going to destroy your own league if the, and I don't even want to say it's like avarice or greed because it's not, but it's that there has been no controls or safeguards put in place of it happening.
Let me give you a comparison. See if you agree with this. It's like taking out a loan to buy lottery tickets.
It's a good way to look at it.
That's in essence what they're doing. They're borrowing from their future drafts
To try to steal it this year.
Yeah.
Or the next year, whatever it is. I mean, do you honestly, if he were to get traded, the team I keep hearing is Indy.
Yes.
It's like somebody giving somebody a house loan for a house that's, on the market for $200,000, but really the value of the house is only like $30,000, and then the whole housing and financial market. Oh, that happened. Never mind.
Yeah. I was like, oh, so you're talking about last year?
Yeah.
I was talking about 2006 to 2009, the subprime mortgage.
Yes. So I have a optional rule that the NFL. I mean, let's see. Does this rule make sense? So if you're an NFL franchise, you cannot trade draft picks from a year that you don't have a GM under contract.
Ooh,
would that make sense? So your GM is signed for the next 3 years.
That's all you have for draft picks.
You can trade any of those picks. That's fine. But
I think that's reasonable. But here's what happens. You run into the Browns situation. Well, we're going to sign our GM. We're going to extend our GM
for 10 years.
For 10 years or 20, 30. You know what I mean?
You can see that happening.
You know what? Those guys get buyouts. So, I mean, that's fine. You want to sign them for 10 years. Just be prepared when you get rid of them. You're giving them
those guys get buyouts. But if you have, let's take Washington, for example, okay?
A model NFL franchise. Go ahead.
Exactly. Or the Raiders, because they would pull something like this too. We sign our GM and we sign him to it is 2023, so 8 years, puts it at 2031. We sign him to an 8-year deal, okay? He goes and trades he trades first-round picks in 2027, 28, 29 to get a quarterback or whatever in this year's draft. Now, whoever is dumb enough to take that trade, okay, but like, let's say that pick bombs and it's a Jamarcus Russell pick and it's out of the league in a year and a half. And then you fire that GM. You are now out, you have to deal with the actions
of that
GM with future picks that you don't even have because of this rule that you tried to sidestep on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, it's the NFL. Every rule is going to get sidestepped. That's just.
I completely and utterly agree with you, but it's one of those things where you have to stop them from hurting themselves. Okay. I know we're talking about the NFL, but like we watched that race yesterday, right? It took an hour to complete the final 6 laps because of the restarts. Because people were getting piled up on the restarts, and there was a caution. Every 3 shots they to get a green white checker. It took them almost an hour. There's been a lot of talk today on NASCAR social media and the Sirius XM NASCAR channel of if you have to go to an overtime finish like that, it goes to a single file restart instead of double file to prevent crowding in the corner. Because, I mean, you saw those guys just throwing caution to the wind and missing the braking zone and going all the way in. And it's that proposal is gaining traction because of yesterday. And I think that with the way these quarterback deals are going, you have to do something.
The NFL can't do that, though, can they? Like, make rules up during the season? Like, it's kind of like already in advance, right?
It's got to be for future seasons unless it is like a player safety issue.
Well, like,
that'd be something to be nice that like they could change, kind of like how NASCAR does. Like, oh, we had this issue, so to have this issue, we're going to come up with this rule, and it's going to go in effect in like the next 2-3 weeks.
Well, so NASCAR experiments with things like with the extended restart zone. They did it through the first 5 races, and they're like, okay, it wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. It's going back to the 2022 regulation size. I would like to see. I think that you need to have a developmental league almost with the NFL where you can say, let's try this rule out for 4 games and see how it does.
It's obviously not an official thing because it isn't an official thing, but I guarantee you right now they are studying the XFL and they're studying the USFL when it starts back up again for some of the not the rule changes, but rule differences, just to see, hey, you know what? This might actually be something.
Well, I think the way that the XFL does the punt situation with that
4th and 15 or whatever.
Yeah, you go like I like that, or the onside kick. Onside kick is what it is. I like that. I think though that some of the stuff in the USFL and the XFL won't work
in the NFL.
In the NFL, not because it wouldn't work for the players, but because of if you own an NFL franchise, that is a license to print money.
Yes.
That's all that is.
Yes.
And because of the dollar amounts and the monetary figures from advertising giants that go into the NFL, I don't know. I don't know that some of the rules would work. I think that you got to start somewhere, though. You have to start somewhere. And I think not to micromanage it or to go further, but I think a restricted salary cap on actual dollar amounts of contracts is something that needs to be looked at in the future, because you're going to price yourself out. You're going to have 3 teams that can afford it, and they're going to leverage listen, you look at NFL payrolls right now, and it's like looking at bank books from the subprime mortgage lending thing in the early 2000s.
Okay, but here's the thing. You have a salary cap already in this league. The salary cap goes up every year. And
sure it does.
Every team in this league still makes money. Every team does.
I 100% agree with you. However, tell me what player deserves a fully guaranteed
Well, apparently every player in Major League Baseball does, because they all
God. Yeah.
So
baseball also has no salary cap.
You're right.
And baseball also has like 6 teams that compete every year, and the rest are bottom feeders.
I understand. I'm really saying, okay,
my beloved Pittsburgh Pirates haven't sniffed the postseason since 2011.
As we said not too long ago, you give the NFL a rule, and 32 teams are trying to figure out a way around it. So I mean, that's just what we have dealing with. So, for example, okay, we don't have guaranteed money. Well, we do have guaranteed money, but we don't have guaranteed contracts overall. Right. So instead, now we have players getting, a gigantic signing bonus, but we're signing them to 5 years where 4 years are void years. So after the first year, they're automatically cut, but we did it as a 5-year, 4-year voidable so that the signing bonus will be spread out over 5 years.
But you're looking at look, I get it. I'm not a money man. I will fully admit that. But to say to a guy, we're going to sign you for 200 and I'm making up a number, $252 million, right?
Yeah.
But then we're going to sit there and we're going to spread it out over 4 years. But every year we're going to come back to you and we're going to renegotiate your contract so that we're just backloading and backloading and backloading and backloading. At some point, the bill comes due. It always does.
Yeah.
And then you wreck a franchise for 7-8 years because of it.
But here's the thing, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the New Orleans Saints at you because
Drew Brees.
So for what, 3rd year in a row, you go into the offseason at negative $50 million or above for your cap space. Any idea what they're sitting at now? Because I got it pulled up.
Probably $4 million over the cap.
They have almost $15 million in cap space right now from negative 60.
Because of what
and you know what? They did this. They barely cut anybody. This is all just reworking of deals and taking money and signing 3-year, 2-year voidables. This is the new way to circumvent the cap. And you literally just do this. And yes, it's kicking the can down the road. But every time you're doing this, the salary cap goes up. So it technically affects you less and less.
That's like saying if I pay my gas bill this week, but I let my car note go because I know next week's check is going to be $400 more, so I can just do that. That to me, then you wake up one morning and your car's not in the driveway.
But here's the problem we get into. We are treating NFL money like it's real. This is not real. This is literally just teams that get billions. Here, go spend it. That's what this is. This is not any kind of free market system. Let's not pretend that it is.
I get it. I really do. But that money just doesn't affect the players. Listen, yes, it affects top tier guys. But you got guys who are 2nd string, 3rd string, who it affects them too.
Yeah, you're talking guys number 30 through 52 on the roster.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And you're talking about affecting the concession stand worker or the merchandise guy. Now, granted, it has nothing to do with the salary cap, but hey, dipshit. Stop playing tug of war in a space that's 2 foot by 2 foot. You're 70 pounds. Sorry. I have a pit bull being an asshole right next to my leg. But so, yeah, you're kicking the can down the road, and the salary cap may go up, and it may go up, and it may go up every year. And everybody knows that, and that's great. But the problem is when you kick the can down the road far enough, where you actually have to pay all that money out, and then you kill your franchise for the next 5 to 7 years, and then your stadium's not filling up, and then you're not selling tickets every Sunday, and the restaurants aren't doing good around your stadium, your parking attendants aren't making money, because
that'll never happen. Them guys make way too much money for all the prices you got to pay to park.
You understand what I'm saying?
I know.
Because you kick the can down the road too far.
I hear you. Again, it's the NFL, and I don't want to get bogged down into NFL money because that's a no-win topic.
No, I get it, but this is a good conversation.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a great conversation for like CPAs and attorneys too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. You're right. It's a good convo. It is.
I look at contract numbers and they just boggle my mind. Because I get it. If you have a professional sports franchise, even hockey, in a way, it's a license to print money because it's not real money.
Right.
And college is going to be that way now with the NIL.
Correct.
Yeah. But this, of course, all started with Lamar Jackson. So let's bring it back to Lamar Jackson. So he's asked for a trade. Personally, I don't think he gets traded because I think it's going to cost another team too much.
You're not going to want to give up the 2 first-round picks is tough.
That's just for signing him. A trade, right. I don't think is going to happen. However, bringing up Vegas odds for, by the way, his next team. Go ahead.
1 second. I figure you guys would appreciate the blanket that my pit bull has decided to just turn into his.
Yep, go right ahead. Chew it up.
And just slobber rag.
I'll come over and play tug of war with him.
He rolls all over this thing, drools on it, chews on it,
scoots his ass on it.
Oh yeah.
So Lamar Jackson next team odds. This is via the Action Network, which is view PointsBet, which goes through PointsBet. Now one of the none of these options are he remains in Baltimore, so that's kind of off the table. So this is I'm just saying.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That's the probability is that he stays. So this is if he were to move. The odds of what team he goes to. Top of the list is Indy. And we've heard this because Jim Irsay has flat out said, if he has a guy that he wants, he's going to go get him.
But the thing that scares me about that, though, is that means what Indy would give up their 4th pick this year?
Yeah.
So then what quarterback do the Ravens go and take that we got to deal with twice a year? You know what I mean?
That's
CJ Stroud.
That's what I'm afraid of. But, because Carolina's going to be stupid and take Richardson or Levis with the 1.
That is, oh God.
That's
a whole other topic.
Right.
So, I mean, Indy, they do have draft capital. They could figure out a way to make this work.
The curse of CMC. What'll happen is Carolina will draft Richardson, and then the first play of training camp, he'll blow out his Achilles.
Wow. And then we go back to Matt Corral.
You're just putting that out in the universe.
I'm sorry. We have Sam Darnold, or not Darnold, but Andy Dalton.
You could go get Jacoby Brissett.
No,
he signed with Washington.
Yeah,
did he?
He's in Washington.
That's not a bad signing.
He's backing up Sam Howell.
Or starting.
He'll be starting before. But that's not a bad signing, especially for Washington and Rivera.
No.
Jacoby Brissett is a more polite, more fashionable Cam Newton.
It is a guy that could step in and run the team.
Yeah.
But it's a guy. Listen, Carolina wasn't successful with Cam Newton and Ron Rivera because Cam Newton's a dumbass. Jacoby Brissett is not.
No, he's not. Interesting second team on this list.
Patriots.
So Colts. You want to do the list?
I'm just guessing teams, and I was right.
Yes.
Oh shit!
I love that look. That's a great look. You want to do the list? Fine.
So Colts are plus 225. Patriots are plus 450. So, Mac, honeymoon over for Mac Jones.
Yeah, and what's he going? Is he going to get traded now?
Might.
I mean, he might, just because there's going to be teams looking. Atlanta Falcons plus 600.
which they do need a quarterback. I mean, they got Heineke and then Ritter. I mean, what does that tell you?
I mean, that again, it's just very strange seeing these teams that literally just drafted quarterbacks,
right?
Looking for another one,
like giving up already.
Carolina, Detroit is sitting there at plus 650. Detroit does not pull this trigger.
No,
they would love to have him. Zero questions.
But the price is wrong.
The draft capital it would take. We have so many needs on this team, especially on defense. Even with all of our signings, we need these 2 first-round picks that we have.
Yeah,
we don't. Tampa Bay at plus 800. I don't know that Tampa Bay could afford him.
No, because they're still paying Brady, are they not?
Yeah, Brady. Brady's like a $32 million dead hit to them.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's got like 5.8 million in space right now, and yes, it's cap space. You can always find a way, but
I don't think you can find enough ways.
Yeah. New York Jets at plus 900. Again, I think the Jets are locked in on Rodgers. This
well, I mean, considering the dude gave him a Christmas list of receivers to go get him.
Yeah, and they actually started fulfilling the wish list. Carolina Panthers plus 1,000. You literally have the draft capital. You have the number 1 pick.
They better not do that because that means I'm going to get stuck with watching C.J. Stroud play for the Ravens twice a year.
So there's a bunch of teams at plus 1,000. Carolina, Washington, who has come out and said they're not doing it. Tennessee, Green Bay.
Well, you know, I love how you say that these teams have come out and said they're not going to do it, and they're usually the teams that will end up doing it in the long run.
Washington came out this afternoon, and said that Sam Howell is their starter, that he is their guy, and Jacoby Brissett is their backup. That they literally use those words.
Do they not realize what happened to the last quarterback that came out of North Carolina? What happened? Sorry, Trubisky.
Tennessee is on here. Green Bay is on here.
Dude, how shitty would that be for Jordan Love? Like, you finally get rid of Rodgers and get your chance, and hey, screw you, here comes Lamar.
Well, I mean, biggest complaint for Lamar at Baltimore is he's got nobody to throw to, and then you're going to ship him to Green Bay.
There's still nobody to throw to.
And then Miami.
I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either. Again,
they really seem to be high on Tua.
And then to end the list at plus 1,500 is San Francisco, which, again, that ain't happening.
No, they like the Mr. Purdy.
They do. Whether he's going to actually play in week 1 or not, he is the guy.
No, just to piss George off, we're rooting for Trey Lance to start the season.
Of course, absolutely. Yes, he requested a trade. They're still negotiating. I think he still plays for them. I don't know if he plays for him on the tag or not. I don't. He
could sit out like Le'Veon Bell did, right?
He could. Here's the thing, though. I mean, whether they trade him or he gets signed to another deal for somebody else and leaves, Baltimore has nothing behind him. You are literally taking the guy that is your offense.
So yes, Scott, we know you're right. Tua is one hit away.
He's
literally
one hit away. It's just,
yeah. I mean, you're getting rid of your whole offense if you get rid of Lamar.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Okay. So the offense has Mark Andrews and nobody to give him the ball. So, yeah.
I mean, all you have to do to stop Baltimore is stop Lamar from running and double cover Andrews, and you pretty much got a good shot to win the game.
Right. And those two things are so easy to do.
Well, we know they're not, but
right.
It's easier said than done.
Can you imagine what the team would have done if they've actually given him wide receivers? Anyway, I think we've kind of beat that horse a couple times.
Yeah.
So just because this also crossed the wire, DeAndre Hopkins has been given permission to seek a trade.
I respect the dude. I get it, but his age is a big concern.
Okay.
And what team would actually be a good fit for him right now?
Green Bay.
Well, okay, not named Green Bay.
Baltimore. Baltimore.
Well,
Said we know they won't do it because that would be a wide receiver.
So who's Hopkins going to throw himself the ball to? Himself in Baltimore? I mean, they don't even have Huntley anymore.
So the issues in the way are obviously, number one, what are you going to get for him? Number two, he does turn 31 in June, so he'll be a 31-year-old wide receiver next year. And his base salary is over $19 million.
Yeah, it's kind of reminded me of the whole AJ Green thing. Like, kind of toward the end of his career, still a decent receiver, but the age is a factor.
And so
Scott says the Lions.
You have St. Brown, you have Williams.
You got who's your tight end now? I forgot.
Yeah, so have I, because we have 2 or 3 of them, and none of them are names that you really.
Yeah, I know I saw one of your picks. You guys taking the kid from Notre Dame, Mayer.
I've him, or I've seen the other one, Kincaid.
Okay, yeah.
It would not surprise me at 18.
But that's your later pick. You're not taking him with the first pick.
If we take him at 6, we
Good
ride.
Lord. Yeah, there's going to be a revolt.
We're not going to pay him $19 million. Not to come here and be not even a top 1 or top 2 wide receiver,
right?
Because I don't know that he beats out St. Brown. I don't know that he beat out.
Why do I got a feeling like Hopkins would go to somebody like a Minnesota?
Yeah, I could see that.
Because now that they don't have Thielen, you trade one for another.
Bookend with Justin Jefferson. Again, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
And you're already paying Kirk Cousins a hell of a lot of money.
And just because I haven't been able to do one for a while, just quickly going down the major injury report. So, like we said, Brock Purdy has been named the quote-unquote starter when he's healthy at San Francisco.
Yeah, but when is when?
When he's healthy, being the term there. Don't know. I don't know when he's going to be healthy. I mean, that's just, he took a long time to have that surgery.
Yeah.
And it's complicated.
Because he kept trying to get second opinions, didn't he? So he could try to avoid the surgery.
Yeah.
To only end up getting it in the long run.
Yep. And again, hopefully it worked, because if it did not, then you're looking at a full Tommy John surgery.
And that'll be another year out.
That's a solid year. Just hitting Denver real quick. Javonte Williams, he's quote unquote making great strides in his rehab.
What did he have? An ACL? He
tore multiple ligaments in his knee. He ran the gamut. He tore 2, if not 3 ligaments. Yeah, so they didn't know if he's going to be ready for week 1. They still don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1. It's way too early to figure that out.
I don't even know who the hell their backup is.
They signed Sam Pirine to a 2-year, $7.5.
Oh, from Cincy?
Yes.
I did not catch that one.
Yes,
What's the latest on short shit?
Welcome back to
Kyler.
And please welcome my guest at this time.
I haven't heard. Still nothing?
Haven't heard anything.
Because I know they're talking about him missing the majority of the year, too, because of his injuries.
Well, I mean, it was a torn ACL, right?
I think so, yeah.
And it was at the end of the year.
Yeah, like week 11 or 12 or something like that.
I mean, he might be back early in the season, but he ain't going to be running.
No, yeah.
And I just saw this, and I just wanted to get your Cleveland guys' opinions on it. Under the name David Bell, diminished role expected. Diminished role.
He didn't even have a role last year.
Did he have a role?
No, because they keep signing all these other free. Don't get me wrong, I love the moves you've made. I mean, Marquise Goodwin's decent, and then you go out and you get oh crap, who was the other one? Or Elijah Moore, which I love that move.
Yeah. Oh my God, sorry.
Yeah, you made Zolt fall out of his chair. But I mean, the problem is Andrew Berry.
I felt it coming. I was like, I should mute my mic, and then it was just there.
But even Andrew Berry's talking about still signing more receivers. So I mean, you got to give the kid a chance. It was only his rookie year last year, and you used him sparingly.
See, y'all are turning into that guy at the fantasy football draft who just starts drafting all the running backs or all the tight ends so that nobody else
Akers.
can get them.
Or you and I thought the same thing. You just said it before I did. I was like, "Oh, you mean Akers?"
No, because the 1 year in fantasy, I needed some running backs, and the dude had like 6 on his roster. I'm like, come on, bro. And then he's trying to be ridiculous, and you want to make a trade. He's wanting Tucker for a running back that's like second string.
Scott, let me just tell you right now. Cardinals are probably trading out of 3.
Really?
I'm just throwing that out there.
What do you know?
I don't know nothing. I know nothing.
Are you in Kuiper's ear?
But no, Kuiper. No. Come on.
Hey, before we get out of here,
yes,
because you're a betting guy.
Okay, go on.
You're kind of a betting guy, but you know a bunch of betting degenerates. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. All right. Go on.
How do you feel about what WWE is trying to do and get the matches for the pay-per-views on legitimate sports books?
Get me the hell and gone as far away from that as I can possibly get.
They are.
That is a disaster waiting to happen.
Where was that? Yes. Indiana and Michigan?
I've seen it in multiple states. That I've seen it where in some state they've been trying now for like 5 years. So,
it's on Caesars, but it's under the E Games and like it's under a different category. Yeah. But they're trying to get it on like the legitimate sports books.
Just no. Hell no.
Like I saw, so let me pull this up. I just had it. So there's already odds. This is of yesterday at 1:45. There are odds for WrestleMania this weekend. Roman Reigns is at plus 325 to retain his title.
I hope not.
The Usos are at plus 900 to beat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who are at minus 4,000.
Don't even touch it.
Good night, sir.
I do not understand how any gaming commission can think this is a good idea.
On something that's scripted.
Yes. It's okay. So you know what? You're betting on sports. You are betting on one team to be exponentially better than another one or quantitatively better than another one.
Correct.
This, you would literally be betting on somebody's decision making.
Yes. But it falls under, so it goes back to the old, before Ohio completely legalized gambling, it fell under was it a game of skill or a game of chance? So you go
it's not a game of chance.
No, but you go into those BFW halls, right? And they have the pole things. Those were legal because they were a game of chance.
This would not be a game of chance.
Not at all.
Sorry, it's
but
not.
How is that, like, when you think about it, like, okay, it's predetermined more or less, obviously. Yes. But like now all of a sudden, okay, we have all this money on, say, Roman Reigns, so now we're gonna let him, win or lose just to screw everybody that may have, like it can swing the outcome because of how the money's on which side the money goes.
I don't know that would necessarily have him. That would be pretty easy to pick apart real quick.
I don't know. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the like checking up on that kind of stuff, like who's placing bets. I don't know how that process works. I don't really.
Well, the thing I don't understand is, so in the 80s, in the late 80s, early 90s, you went to the New Jersey State Athletic Commission and said, "Oh yeah, we're our outcomes are predetermined," because you didn't want to pay the State Athletic Commission a fee anymore for licensing you to hold events in New Jersey. And you blew kayfabe out of the water. And now, in 2023, you're trying to say, "Oh yeah, we're a little bit legitimate. Let us get in on that sports betting action."
I mean, what you do has not changed.
Correct. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Here's the thing. What do they gain by doing it? I mean, are you going to gain viewers that way?
Or I wonder if they're trying to gain money.
Well, the only way they gain money by doing that is if they're actually involved in the action. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I just think it's kind of funny how this is coming out when Vince is trying to sell too.
It's a rumor that he's trying to sell.
Well, yeah.
I don't like it. It does not pass the smell test.
I don't think it does either. The first time I heard it, I was like, "You're out of your mind."
That's exactly what I thought too. Yep. No, I mean, if such a thing were to come to pass, no, I would not touch it. I would not go anywhere near it because, just not going to do it.
Stick to what you know, right?
Yeah, stick to what I think I know.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
But how many? I wonder how many people will lose the mortgage on betting on, say, like something like Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair.
Right.
Rhea Ripley's at minus 1,200. Okay, let's put $400 on her because then we get whatever it is.
Imagine how many times they're going to have for the women's matches a wardrobe malfunction bet.
Those are prop bets. Those are different.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've seen that. I don't like it. I want nothing to do with it. Just get it the hell away from me. And frankly, get it the hell away from your sport. You don't want that. I think all that's going to do, that is going to attract the wrong kind of attention.
The Rangers are now officially in the playoffs, by the way. The Sabres lost to the Canadiens and the Panthers lost to the Senators. So the Rangers are in.
So the Panthers lost again?
Yes.
That is a 4-game losing streak now while they're trying to catch Pittsburgh.
Oh, figures. Guardians starting pitchers out for 2 months. Right before the season starts in 3 days. Outstanding. Tristan McKenzie with back muscle issue. Out for 2 months.
A dude for the Penguins is still out with a kidney laceration.
Ouch.
I don't even want to think about that. My back hurts thinking about that.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it is 12 after 10.
Well, you got to hurry up and do your little fantasy thing real quick, then we can get out of here.
Oh, hey, you know what? It's only a 96-point lead. It's,
not much.
It can disappear like that.
Talladega's coming up. You can lose it all by then.
I mean,
he's not wrong. He had a 100-point lead at one point last year.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
or over 100-point lead and lost.
I hit a streak. I hit a streak where it was ugly.
Listen, I had Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin when they finished 1-2 at Pocono and lost them both because of that stupid disqualification.
Hey, you know what? I just got to hope that the amount and quality of research that I put in every week is just enough to keep me up there. For Adam, for the bridesmaid, for myself, Zolt, and for the empty chair. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it, and we will see you
next Monday.
Week.
I hate you guys so much.